Hey, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my area of study. I study occupational therapy. Now, the first question that I usually get asked when I tell people that I am training to be an occupational therapist is, what? And the answer is kind of like, it's a bit like physio, but it's kind of the cheat answer that people give. It's really not that much like physio. The ways in which it is are basically, it's an allied health profession like physiotherapy or like speech pathology. And we're there to help people. But that's pretty close to the end of the similarities. Now, I'm currently on a semester break from studying at university for mental health reasons. So I shall now struggle to explain to you what occupational therapy is. Occupation, the idea of what occupation is activity. So it's not necessarily your job. It can be your roles, your responsibilities. It can be being a mother. It can be brushing your teeth. It can be using the bathroom. It can be using your fingers and your hands. It can be walking. It can be taking public transport. It's anything that you do at any part of your life. If you are having problems doing it, the person who's there to help you solve the puzzle is the occupational therapist. So that's what they do. It's basically a profession of puzzle solving to allow you to live your life. The main reasons people can't do something, of course, are injury, illness, disability, mental health, or circumstances. And so an occupational therapist will use whatever they can within their means to help you achieve and do these things. Occupational therapists provide many interventions, both physical. They work with medical professionals to provide medical intervention, psychological intervention, and also technological intervention. If you're looking to purchase a wheelchair, an occupational therapist is the type of individual who you will likely encounter. If you're about to have surgery that's quite significant, like on your shoulder or on your hip or knee, you'll most likely be consulted by an occupational therapist to make sure that you can get home and live and operate at home safely, that you have someone to help you cook meals, and that you know how to shower and bathe yourself. Occupational therapists aren't manual nurses. They don't do things like wash you instead of yourself. They will either help you find others to do that, or they will come up with and provide you with some technology which will allow you to do it self, like a long-handed sponge, which can come in very handy. There are a few areas where occupational therapists are actually allowed to provide more physical interventions, and that's mainly in hand therapy. Hand therapy, as the hand is quite a complicated structure, is, of course, its own line of profession, and you enter it via physiotherapy or occupational therapy, or you transfer from another health science. And the goal is to rehabilitate you to be able to use your hands in full range of motion, with strength, your reaction speed, your forearms properly move. So this can be for injury or arthritis or anything like that. Occupational therapists can provide you with a sling or with a cast, or they can clean your wounds if they've done wound cleaning. I actually stabbed myself in the hand. I doubt you'll be able to see it, but I have a scar which runs along here. And I was pitting an avocado in the less intelligent way. I was holding the avocado like this, and I was holding the knife like this, and naturally I stabbed myself in my flexor tendon and had to have rehabilitation. I didn't personally get treated by an occupational therapist. I got treated by a physiotherapist, but there were occupational therapists on the private hand ward that I attended. When I said that occupational treat people from all ages, all jobs, it's very literally so. They help with mothering, help mothers build a routine through maternity, and then once the baby is born, help with nurturing the baby, teaching ways for the baby to gain strength, to properly develop. They'll look at the baby's speech, they'll see how it walks, they'll help it through school. If it's lagging in its handwriting, occupational therapists provide handwriting therapy and will allow your child to develop accurate handwriting skills. They help with mental health, especially amongst teenagers, as the hormonal developments in adolescence can trigger some mental health problems in quite a large percentage of the population. They help you throughout your entire life and all the way until palliative care. And there are some occupational therapists involved with palliative care and things which happen there. Occupational therapists work with an incredibly wide variety of teams. They work in multidisciplinary teams, interdisciplinary teams. They work in collaborative teams. They'll work with all kinds. They work in psychology, psychiatry, audiology. They work, of course, in hand therapy. They'll work in any type of specialization with body systems, like the renal system. They work with musculoskeletal disorders. They work in and with people with intellectual disability or with a communication-based disability like autism. They work in a very large variety of fields. Personally, I have experience working in hospitals in 3 main areas. My first experience was working with patients with lymphedema. The lymphedema is basically a swelling of lymphatic fluid in usually your arms or your legs. Lymphatic fluid, you have a system called the lymphatic system. Just like you have your blood cellular system, where your blood travels round your veins and arteries circulated by your heart, you have another system of tubes in you, transporting a clear liquid called lymph. This is a fluid called the interstitial fluid, which transports nutrients and sometimes viruses throughout your body. If you feel your lymph nodes here and here, you've got lymph nodes here, here, they're all part of your lymphatic system. When you move and you exercise your muscles, it squeezes the fluid amongst your tissue into these systems and helps move nutrients around your body. That's one of the reasons why it's very important to get up and move to maintain the health of your bones and joints and muscles. Aside from transporting nutrients and getting rid of waste, the lymphatic system also helps to protect your body. You have centers, which I just described, called lymph nodes, where you have specific blood cells which are designed or have evolved to fight infection. So your body shall take them through and up, and that's why you get specific swelling like in the tonsils, because that's where the badass fighters are. That's where it's at, and they all organize to have a fight down there. That's how it goes. If you have some sort of disorder or injury, all of the fluid can start kind of building up. You can develop a lot of different issues from this. You can imagine what having one arm that weighs a few more kilograms, maybe 4 or 5 more kilograms than the other arm does over a period of time. And so the main ways we treat this as occupational therapists are through massage. You massage in a kind of figure-8 circular pattern, so the lymph goes back up into your main kind of body areas instead of in your arms or legs. And we also use a machine which pushes and squeezes your muscles, kind of like when you get your blood pressure taken, and pushes the fluid back up. We also quite heavily prescribe people to moisturize anywhere near they have a lymphatic fluid buildup, as infections can be extremely more severe if you have lymphedema, as different pathogens or infectious agents get really attracted to lymph because of the proteins within it, and so it's important not to get cracked and dry skin. And so that was my experience there. My second actually happened at the same time as my third. I was very lucky to be able to study underneath an occupational therapist who was undergoing a career transformation. At the time, were moving from their position of evaluating people to undergo elective orthopedic surgeries, moving away to work professionally in the treatment of chronic pain. Both of these areas are very interesting. Elective orthopedics, and basically you can imagine your orthopedics, your joints, so the elective surgeries. So the elective surgeries are mainly your knees, your hips, and your shoulders. You get a surgery there for many different reasons. Mainly, it's to remove sources of pain so you can gain functionality again. This was an interesting experience for me, as it allowed me to watch my first live operation in theatre. So I got to stand about a meter away from the patient and watch them replace the knee. I won't go into any more detail because it was quite gruesome, but extraordinarily interesting. But the bit that I found most interesting was chronic pain treatment. I got to work collaboratively with a psychiatrist, with a psychologist, with physiotherapists, with other occupational therapists and social workers, and it was quite interesting to be able to see the variance of factors leading to and contributing to chronic pain. This is a experience that I was quite interested in, and I think I'll probably dedicate another video or series of videos entirely to chronic pain and the current medical theories behind it. But mainly there, the occupational therapist took the role of collaboratively meshing together the team of professionals and guiding individuals through the model which is currently widely used to treat chronic pain, which was the kind of steady state, non-boom and bust model, which I'll explain more about in the future. Interestingly, occupational therapists largely came in Australia or became a profession because of returning vets from World War I and World War II. They spent a lot of time helping people regain function and being able to live their lives after trauma, both physical and psychological. And so that's where the kind of industry started. For a while, there was a intellectual split between occupational therapy and other medicine. It never was anti-medicine, but they didn't work collaboratively for a small while, as the medical model, which was mainly used by Western medicine, was purely a biological one. But the occupational therapist used a slightly more new and philosophical medium and thought that there are other factors which should be involved in considering health, like your social situation, what roles you are involved in your life, and stuff like that, e.g. adequate or normal social interaction, being happy with what you can produce, stuff like that. And over time, health got slowly redefined, and the two, both the occupational therapists and the rest of medicine, started working very collaboratively. This increased quite a lot in, I think it was 1989, when occupational science was founded, and this is the specific domain of evidence-based research to do with occupational therapy and activities. So it's the science of evaluating how an activity can influence someone. And of course, being occupational therapists, we use both activities, occupations to treat, and we treat so people can do occupations and activities. Now, occupational therapy is mainstream. They're employed in hospitals, have patients, and help to reshape, transform, or save lives, as other medical professions do. Thank you for listening. This was not very prepared, this ramble, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you managed to get some reprieve, break, or anything that you need, and a pause, and good night.